Just a small video to talk about how to wipe down and clean your instrument post practicing. So this is not how to clean your instrument thoroughly, uh, which you might do a couple times a year. But this is sort of like a daily maintenance thing. Usually I have to sit down for this because I had to straddle the fiddle at one point. I used to do this like a couple times a day because I would have like a session in the morning, and then basically a whole day would go by and I have a very late session at night. So, but now I just kind of do it at the end of the day and leave my fiddle out, which I don't recommend. But I live in a area where there's very little natural disasters. It's just feel pretty safe without anything like going awry, like fire, not fire, but like like a sprinkler system or something like that. If you have something like that in your building, you might want to always pack up your fiddle. So when you practice, there's really just two types of wear that it gets, and one is from your sweat and from your perspiration, or from your when you're breathing, like water comes out of your breath. So that's something you want to wipe down. And then the rosin, basically you just have to stay on top of it because the rosin adds up. And I remember with my father's fiddle and some of my teacher's fiddle, there'd be like just millimeters of rosin that built up. And at that point, you need a knife to sort of take down the rosin. I mean, rosin is tree sap, and it's just something that becomes pretty damn hard. If you think what amber is just it's compressed and old rosin, so it potentially can get really thick and repugnant. Yeah, so if you just do this daily, then you pretty much not need to uh, worry about doing sort of like a hardcore uh, cleaning that often. I haven't even gotten this clean once. This is like a 12-year-old instrument, 12-year-old instrument. So this is what I do. First, I put the fiddle down, and the bow just gets. I have two tools here. One is a cotton sock clean. Probably find that anywhere. I would suggest cotton. Stay away from any polyesters. This is a microfiber or pretty much the same thing, but like a silk or microfiber rag. This comes with any decent pair of sunglasses, and this works great. This goes in the wash maybe once a week because it gets the most dirty in the socks. I actually just use my regular clean socks. I don't have like a designated Violin sock. They're always cleaning, and they're clean. The ones I use are clean, so no issue there. So when I'm done practicing, the bow is still tightened. Maybe I rosin it once a week, but after I practice, I'll rosin it a little bit, and then I just thread this microcloth through the to the stick, between the hair and the stick, and I just just make sure it's sort of, the feedback is like it's not sort of sticky anymore. If you do this every day, then you don't have to clean it deeply. If you don't do this every day, the rosin adds up, and what happens is like you just feel like there's something on the surface of the stick. You can't get it off, and at that point, you're gonna have to use a solution. So just be warned: never use alcohol, because everything that in the violin world seems to be covered in varnish, and alcohol and varnish, I don't know the relationship of them, but I feel like alcohol just easily eats away at the varnish. So no alcohol. There's I don't want to get into it now, but there is a way to deep clean that I like. I don't think anyone else would suggest it. But yeah, I would, if you don't stay on top of this daily routine, you will have to resort to a type of cleaner. And I do have one in another video. I might go into how to sort of do a deep clean of an instrument. I don't typically like do deep cleaning, like I said, but sometimes there'll be spots that are just that I've neglected to properly address. So it gets a little gunky. And this cleaning method, that's not the daily cleaning method, works really good. It's almost like kind of like a magic trick. Also, not related to cleaning, but I want to mention two places I put packing tape. So when you're making a delivery, you're usually told to use a clear packing tape. So not duct tape, but packing tape. It's clear. Uh, it's I've been told by some luthiers not to use just regular off the shelf packing tape, but because the way when I take off the tape, if I was to sell a bow or something like that, the tape that comes off does leave a residue. But with this cleaning method that I use, it just comes right off. It's not a big deal. So there is like a bit of a residue underneath tape when it gets old, but not an issue. Doesn't eat into the varnish or the wood or anything. So now I'm a little off topic, but the tape I put in one place, and that's just the top of the stick. I have it flush with the frog. So it goes all the way to the adjuster and to the leather wrap, and it just kisses the edge of the frog. So because when you tighten a bow, this thing moves up and down on this, so you can't have tape on the ebony frog here. Yeah, so I have a piece of tape that's all the way across there, and you can't see it because it's clear tape. But that just stays on there. Once you put it on there, it's not going anywhere for years and years and years. Yeah, so it's just I've definitely wiped the bow more than I usually do just now. But yeah, make sure just run it with the microfiber or the silk cloth. And it looks great. And then always always loosen your bow when you put it in your case. That keeps your stick happy, I think. And then for the rest of this, I do sit down because I have to straddle the instrument. And so what I do is first I do the sock. And the sock is just this. I might have to stand just so you can see. I just run the sock where the strings are. Make sure I sort of squeeze the strings a little bit. Try to get, you're never going to get like the whole string, like underneath the string, but the sides and the top are good. And I kind of get the sweat off. This is something you'll do with the other rag too. But the main thing is for the sock is it's got a little more texture than the silk or the microfiber sunglass thing. Is it's got a little more texture, so you can use that to get under the strings, onto the fingerboard, and if you see any practice rosin, it'll take it right off. And I just kind of do it underneath, and then a big thing for me is make sure this is where your perspiration is going to be. It's not perspiration, whatever it is when you breathe. It's you're ventilating, I guess. This also just addresses that. So I go just underneath that. And then the main thing with the sock is this surface here. It's like a centimeter high. That thing gets extremely sticky if you don't get that every day. And yeah, if you forget this spot, this is the spot that builds so easily. And just get my pinky in the sock and give it a scrubby wub. And then behind the bridge too a little bit. You'll be getting that with the smaller rag, but just to do it once over. So I'm not scrubbing the instrument with this. You can, but I don't. I just use this for like the more touched areas, and then give the wherever my hand's been, basically. I give it a scrub with the sock too. There, now I'm done with the sock. And then if you don't think that's clean enough, for me, that's not clean. So now I take the microfiber. This is kind of what I use for the sock too. Or what I use for the bow, same thing. I take this and just kind of do a quick little, as if I'm wiping a counter down. I feel like the camera is not going to be on this video. Just give it a wipe down. So at the back, it's easy to remember. And then I do the sides. And this is finally the basically the amount of time I spent with the cleaning. It's moving a little faster. It's more in accordance with what I actually do. When I was doing the bow, that was taking too long. I usually don't spend that long. And this is where I sit down. This is important to sit down here. So let me just drop up here in case the camera's not on. What I do is I thread this through and just give it like a little, almost like a dental floss, like you do with the, kind of hold it, go down, get the F holes, go behind. There, that's it. Now, this thing is ready to go in the case, and I've had luthiers say to me, hey, this looks like you've never played the instrument. Well, I have played the instrument quite a bit. It's just that I take really good care of it. It's an investment. They're not great investments, but they're you don't want to keep buying fiddles because you're going through them. Yeah, so you want to take care of the things you buy. And what I wanted to also mention is about that clear packing tape. So, like I said, I put one strip on the bow, and you can get your local violin guy to do this. But if you measure it, you can create a nice little piece of tape here. And you might see that in, if you don't have this yourself, you might see friends that have this or colleagues. It's not uncommon to have this covered. If you don't cover that, if you're a sweaty person like I am, that is the first thing that gets eaten away. The varnish gets completely, it goes into the white. And then if it goes beyond that, the wood will eventually whittle down. I don't think that would affect the sound too much, but you're just, you're whittling away at the wood. It's not something you want to do. And it's easily prevented with this piece of packing tape. And just want to like measure, get some, like a ribbon. It's like a sewing measuring tape, and just sort of measure the width. You can cut it pretty easily if you just like get a piece of packing tape, put it on a piece of parchment paper, do your measurements, and then you can cut it without dealing with the sticky factor. And then when it's time to apply it to the bow or this, you just take the back of the parchment paper off and just lay it flat. And if you start it and it's kind of in a weird angle, just take it off and hope for the best the second or third time. But yeah, definitely make it straight. And because once it's on, you probably have to do a whole new one if you screw it up. So yeah, and then just press it on, and it'll like last for a long time. Yeah, so that's the cleaning. That's the security tape. And then one last thing, sort of more related to the function of the instrument. Just make sure the bridge is kind of where I like it. I can go into that maybe another time, but what I like to do is make sure that sometimes when you play loud music, I mean, the bridge is always in motion, so it actually starts walking up and down the instrument. It's fascinating, actually, like the way a bridge works. These little feet are actually stomping one after another on the instrument with the vibrations. So it can start to walk, and it does. Like the strings it's not a static instrument. It's not a static system. So the strings are vibrating. There's times when the instrument's loose. So what happens is sometimes the bridge won't necessarily be in a different place, but the pitch might be a little off. So the way I sort of measure that, it's the most severe on the G string on the bass side. So before I put the instrument away, I just sort of listen to the D, and then behind the G string, you can get the same D. Well, not the same D, but it's an octave higher. That tells me the bridge is in the right place as far as it's not pitched back too much. If it was in the wrong place, that's like a D sharp. So what I would do is sort of just carefully just flick it, the top, very top corner, until it's back to D. And that doesn't knock the instrument out at all. It's just we're talking, less than a millim. We're talking sub millimeters here. So that little difference can be achieved without worrying about you're moving things too much. But that's a real sweet spot for me, is having that D ring of the D. That means the instrument's like in a sort of happy, stable state, and it's ready for tomorrow's practice. Yeah, so that's more than I wanted to get into about wiping a fiddle down, but we crept into some other small maintenance details, and yeah, so keep those things in mind. The bow, wiping the bow, the two different types of cloth, the tape if you feel so inclined, and definitely make sure your bridge is looking good. There's videos about that out there, I'm sure, as far as what it should look like, but just make sure it's give it a tap to make it sound like the D, because it's probably moved during your practice. Okay.